He was on the lam for about a month. He was traveling around, and then he came back and did some great work with the Heat Index, announcing his presence with authority. Let's bring on our first guest from Cavs the Blog, John Krolik. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. Thanks a lot for being here. Let's jump right into it. One thing I want to talk about is you have kind of deconstructed the Heat through this Turning Up the Heat series, and you're looking at individual players. Is there something that surprised you when you started looking at the kind of particular individual parts?
I don't know. I think what surprised me most is that I found myself sort of coming back to the same thing a lot of the same time, which is that when they sort of put their game together, when this player puts his game together, makes it work as or sort of works within the framework of the team, and the team's offense will go to another level. Just because it seemed like a lot of times they were sort of functioning as individuals. Like today, I don't know if it's up yet, but I turned in the Bosch one, and he was 46 among power forwards in assist ratio. So when you get LeBron to Bosch, that works. Wade to Bosch, that works. But if you can get Bosch to LeBron or Bosch to Wade and get them playing high-low post, then you've got something sort of special on your hands. And
right.
when you're looking at a guy like Norris Cole, who got average 8 free throw attempts per game, I think, which is, I didn't do that, but that's almost as much as the rest of the non-Big Three players combined last season.
Right.
So if he starts driving the hoop and defenses have to collapse on him, and then start leaving LeBron or Wade or Bosch alone, then that's scary. And with the guy like Chalmers, he can stretch the floor and he can drive. So really, I think sort of the goal is to get everyone sort of working when they're on the floor, sort of a 5-man unit, all sort of passing and getting each other open, because sort of the idea right as this started, sort of obviously when you get past all the crap, I don't get to cover LeBron stuff anymore, it was the idea I had was that LeBron is so good when he has the ball in his hand, but when he gets the ball, or Wade for that matter, and Wade was a lot better this last season than LeBron was, when he gets the ball off a catch, moving at full speed towards the basket, that's when things get scary. And that's when you really can't stop it. And when the team starts functioning like that, I think that's when offensively they get frightening.
Yeah, you mentioned Norris Cole, and I think it sounds like, he's a great rebounder. That's something that you highlighted, and like almost absurd rebounding totals for a guy his size. He's someone who you can see making the defense a little faster, a little peskier, and also helping the Heat run more. That's something that they want to do. Do you think that Cole is a potential starter? It's hard to know, obviously, but do you see him getting big minutes right away or being able to contribute?
What I said in the piece is basically like, on paper he looks great, but he's coming from the Horizon League to the Eastern Conference champion.
Right.
So it's almost impossible to bring back. If he can bring what he did in the Horizon League over to the Heat, then things look great. But as things are, I would not be ready to let Chalmers walk in free agency for the hand the keys to the car to Norris Cole.
Yeah, he may not be Ben Roethlisberger coming out of a small league and automatically being really good in the pros. So here's the question. When I'm reading these things, and the way you put it, these guys just need to do what they do more consistently or figure out a way to be a part of the offense. Is part of the problem maybe that the Heat just have a lot of kind of bad players? Like Eddie House is a bad player, right?
He's not a good player. I think that if you're relying heavily on Eddie House, for more than, let's say, if it comes to the playoffs and Eddie House is averaging more than, let's say, 8 to 12 minutes a game, there's a problem. I think Eddie House is the first one we did, meaning he's the lowest on the scale. Eddie House is there for if there's a point guard injury, or if Mike, he came in at the end because Mike Bibby would not stop committing crimes against basketball. You're just hoping he can come in, space the floor, and just hit a few threes and get you going. A lot of the fat that they had has sort of been trimmed. Dampier's not coming back. You've got a lot of guys who Bibby's not coming back, who were not really pulling the right, who aren't coming back. And so the question is, when this new CBA gets worked out, because a lot of these, and maybe they're with this amnesty clause, you'll get guys coming to the Heat, and who knows what the mid-level exception is going to look like. So
True.
and so you're generally thinking that guys would want to come to the Heat, just because especially veteran guys like Bibby did,
live in Miami, everything,
stuff like
right.
that. But you're wondering, obviously you have to wait for the CBA to see how the roster fills out, but I don't think you can ask for much more from the roster. I mean, I think Joel Anthony's actually, for what they pay him, is a very good bargain. If Haslem and Miller are helping them do what they've done throughout their careers, they have pretty good deals. So you've got three of the best players in the league. You've got three very good players when they're healthy at good prices, and then you've got some guys like Chalmers and Cole and who are pretty exciting and have some potential. So I don't think I don't think you can look at the Heat and say this is a roster problem, this is a talent problem. I mean, they didn't win the finals last year because their best player didn't show up for large portions of the most important games of the year. I mean, that was the difference between them and winning the finals. So I don't think you can look at the Heat and say they have a big roster problem, a big systemic problem.
You can't have a big roster problem when you have LeBron James and Dwayne Wade on the same team. It's just like, it's impossible.
Or when you, I mean, if your best player doesn't show up in the NBA Finals, you're not going to win the NBA Finals. I mean,
your eighth man doesn't matter if LeBron doesn't show up. The last thing I wanted to ask you before I let you and Ethan talk is Chris Bosh has reportedly, Tom Haberstroh said when he saw him at FIU, Bosh has gained a little muscle. His shoulders have gotten a little bigger. He looks more like a prototypical power forward. One thing I was wondering is that even a good thing? I always liked Bosh as kind of the high post pressure release in that offense. If they move him down and give him more of those low post touches, is that good? If that makes Wade and LeBron more of spot-up guys?
I mean, one thing I wrote today was that his post game actually was not very strong. His favorite move is the fadeaway over his left shoulder, which is just not a high percentage shot. So if he's bulked up and they can actually dump him into the post and he can force double teams from the post, not just from the high post, then again that adds a new element, because if you have to bring doubles on Bosh, you're leaving James and Wade open, and that's again to go back to my friend when things get scary. I mean, in terms of, I'm sure whoever Bosh is working out with knows more than I do. I mean, LeBron's put on a good 30 pounds since he came into the league. I mean, he's listed at 250 right now, which is not true. I mean, it's ludicrously not true. And he obviously hasn't really lost much of his speed. So hopefully it's a good weight that he's put on. And someone does the 12 pounds of muscle or whatever, the every training camp story. Someone loves to point that out. It might be Ziller, it might be Tom Haverford actually. That Lang Whitaker, is it Lang Whitaker? James Herbert saying it's Lang Whitaker. He goes, every training camp you get a guy who comes in with 12 pounds of muscle. It's never 15, like it's never 8. It's 12 pounds of muscle. So I mean, Bosh could be that guy, and I think he did get muscled a little bit by Dirk, which is an odd thing to say, but certainly if it helps him defensively, because I think he's a very good team defender and a very good help defender, and did a lot of good things, even one-on-one defense and staying in front of his man. But if he can really body guys up and be physical, I mean, that's why we saw how much better Haslem was at guarding Dirk than Bosh was in those NBA Finals. So we'll see with the bigger Bosh.